It's a foggy and a bit chilly morning at the end of April. Spring started late this year, and until the warmth is back and the grass has started to grow again, I continue the farm chores, much as I did during the long grip of winter. There are a few days left until Valborg, when we in Sweden celebrate the end of winter and the arrival of the long-awaited spring. At last, the end of what seemed to be an endless winter. The chickens have received new wood shavings, and the horses their morning hay. There was some rain later that afternoon. I didn't know it at the time, but it would turn out to be the last rain for over a month. After Valborg, we got a few weeks of unseasonably hot and dry weather that would please many, but also settle like a cloud of worry over the minds of many farmers. Could this be the beginning of yet another period of drought? Just like the previous summer. During my 10 years as a tenant here on the farm, I've seen the weather change a lot. The summers are definitely hotter and drier. And perhaps the dry start to the season is the new normal. This is what climate change seems to be doing, at least in our part of the world. My tractor is being serviced this week. It's in the workshop. So I'm waiting for my neighbour Lennart to come with his John Deere and help me fill the chicken's feed barrel with layer feed from the silo on the other side of the street. I empty the last feed from the bottom of the barrel and give it to the chickens. While I wait for Lennart to arrive, I pass the time sorting and packing eggs to be sold the next day.
Min måste jag lämna in eller köpa en ny pump. Nej, generator.
Jaha.
Men jag menar, jag har lämnat in skuldet. Nu är det aktivt. Och kylarvätskan är nog värre. För den tappar ju rostskyddseffekten. Men vi har fyllt på lite. Traktorn är ingen fara med. För den bytte jag väl också då. Men den har jag tappat ur hälften och fyllt på nytt.
So it feels like we've been waiting a long time for this. I can stand here all day just listening to the birds. It's like the whole world is waking up. We've been waiting for this for 6 months now. Since November, when the world or the landscape, the natural world quieted down and we went through winter and the darkness and the snow and the ice. The occasional bird here and there, you know, the ones that stay. But now we're welcoming new life to this part of the earth. And seeing nature wake up during the spring, every year it gets me. It's a very special feeling. When something has been taken away from you for a short period of time, you know it's coming back, but you don't have it. And then suddenly you start seeing hints that it's returning. It feels that way when winter is upon us and slowly, you know, letting go of its grasp of our lives. And spring is coming, the light is coming back, it's all waking up again. And with it, I wake up. Living up here in the north is pretty hard. It's a hard life. Dealing with the conditions of the darkness and the cold and the very long winters, it's very difficult, very mentally draining and physically as well, especially if you have you know, you have to work outside a lot like a farmer does. But I feel that having grown up here, it is hard, but you know that there's a payoff at the end of it. Somehow there's a big reward. Making it through winter, you get a few months of the light returning and the heat and the warmth and the life, the new sounds coming back. These sounds of the birds, I've missed them. I haven't heard them for many months, and now all of a sudden I'm waking up to something that I might have maybe otherwise had just taken for granted. It's so easy we take things for granted that are there every day. If we have food in our fridge or in our kitchens, and just having fresh water and fresh air, we take it for granted. But the moment we don't have those things, we miss them and we realize how valuable they are. So every spring is sort of an awakening for me.
It feels high time to try to cover as many of the beds as possible in the garden with cardboard, straw and compost before the heat arrives, while the soil is still moist and the cardboard can start to decompose a little before we sow. It is said that the distance between good enough and perfect is infinite. It would have been best to do this kind of work in the autumn, so the material had more time to break down. But that time unfortunately didn't exist then, and it's better to get it done than to get it perfect. It will be exciting to see how the garden turns out this summer, when we test this new method of no-dig. The hope is to both develop better soil health through minimal disturbance, as well as minimize the pressure from weeds that are now buried in the darkness under the cardboard and several wheelbarrows of soil. We'll see what happens. I think it's fun to experiment. The chickens have been a bit mischievous lately. A few days ago, I noticed that they had started to pick at a tear along the wind mesh in the greenhouse. Something I must now try to fix before it's too late.
Beautiful evening. It's about 7 o'clock now. I'm gonna put the kids to bed, but yeah, chickens have been pecking on the wind net, so there was a big sort of a hole in it that was becoming worse and worse. I saw it yesterday, and before I come home one day and there'll be 200 layer hens out free on the farm, I decided to do something about it, try to stay one step ahead. So I put some netting up, as you could have seen here. Hopefully they'll let it be and not destroy it, but with the hens it's different from cattle or sheep. Cattle or sheep, they will definitely ruin and break and pull over, demolish anything you build or put in their way. But hens are a little bit more gentle. They will be curious, but they probably won't ruin anything. I hope not, at least. So now I can go to bed feeling a little bit more safe. Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful day at the end of April. Spring is here, finally.
The kids have gone to bed, and it's time to collect the day's eggs. Lennart lent me his tractor again, so I could drive a bale to the rams. After I'm done, I'll drive it back to him and change implements to the shear grab. as Lennart will spend the day before Valborg collecting some brush and twigs in the village to put on a huge bonfire. The whole village will gather down by the soccer field to sing and welcome the spring.
Och du också ska få lite kul. So I dare say it's spring for real now. Winter is not coming back. The 10-day forecast shows really nice weather, about 16, 17 degrees Celsius, sun every day, no rain. We've had sort of a wet spring, not as wet as in the UK, but still. Sleet and rain. With a few weeks of this weather, the grass is going to really come alive. I'm actually starting to think about maybe letting some animals out soon, maybe within a week or two, to stay on top of the grass, because otherwise it will definitely outgrow them. I'm trying to start every morning like this, spending time outside, listening to the sounds of nature coming alive. It's so soothing, it's so it makes me so happy to hear, because I know there will probably come a time in Earth's history when we humans probably aren't here anymore for one reason or another. I mean, we are all susceptible to this kind of change, and from a, you know, from an age of the planet sort of point of view, we are not even a small blip on the map of time. So it makes me happy to not identify myself only as human, or even as, you know, the species of human being. There's also, it sounds a bit strange, but there's also a part of me that identifies with like everything else around that is both living and non-living, like even rocks and trees and the birds. And I know that the day when humans aren't here to experience this, these things will still be here, and, you know, life will continue in one way or another. So in a way we continue, but we don't have the human experience, which is the most amazing gift. And it's that which we, I think, at least I'm talking for myself, I don't want to spend one day of the rest of my life not feeling extremely grateful for just having the human experience, being able to see, taste, feel life, you know, in the way that we humans do. I guess you can sort of come to those kinds of feelings when you spend time alone, not distracted, just looking out into whatever it is you're looking at, and just asking the question, who is it that is looking at this, you know? Like, I'm looking through these eyes. Who is looking? Like, when you really ask, like, who is on the inside? Who is looking out? And there's no clear answer, you know? No, I'm really fascinated by just being able to be alive, and so grateful that I get to wake up to this.
It's the last of April here in Uppsala, and the Valborg bonfires are starting to be lit across the county. The smell of fire and smoke hangs in the air. Tonight we are finally entering into a new era, which many have been longing for so long, including myself, of course.
Med det säger vi fyrfaldigt lever för våren. Hon lever. Hipp hipp. Hurra, 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 hurra. Folkets jubel. Vinden rasat ut från våra fjällar. Drivans blommor smälta ner och dö. Himlen ler i vårens ljusa kvällar. Solen kysser liv i skog och sjö. Snart är sommaren här i purpurvågor. Guldbelagda asor skiftande. Lika änglarna i dagens lågor. Och i lunden dansar källorna.
So it's cleanup time, and this is where we had the tomatoes last year, and I haven't cleaned them out since then. They've been just standing here all winter, so now it's time to clean this up, get rid of the old tomatoes and prepare the beds here for the whatever else it is that we want to grow this year. And yesterday at the bonfire we celebrated the first day of spring, you can say. It's a big tradition here in Sweden. So today is the 1st of May, yesterday was the last of April, and really it has flipped. Spring is here for real. It's really warm now and I am so thrilled. We made it through winter. I mean, that is really the feeling, like we made it, you know, we accomplished this. Another year of hardships and trials and tribulations, I guess, but we made it through winter, and there's a huge relief and there's a huge gratitude and a huge joy that I think most people feel right now, knowing that spring is here and summer is just around the corner. So yeah, and part of the routines is to out with the old and in with the new. So I am going out with the old right now, the old tomatoes, and we will be putting in some aubergines. I bought 2 aubergines yesterday from a woman who lives in the village, and 2 chilies. So yeah, that's gonna be exciting. We've never grown aubergine in here before, but I think it's gonna be perfect. It's nice and warm. So Ja. Står här i. När det liksom kommer.
Men fråga vilket barn vill ha majs så kan de få mer majs.
Nej, ja det kan du prova. Det finns inget som... Jo, det gör det. Titta, där fanns det. Ja. Skål och välkomna alla barnen.
Och vuxna?
Ja. Skål till våren.
Vår första utemåltid.
Ja,
det är det. Ja. Nej, vi satt på baksidan ju när vi körde. Då satt vi väl ute.
Men för oss är det premiär.
Ja.
Now the warmth has finally arrived, and winter officially feels over. I can walk around in just a t-shirt now, without freezing, and the woolly underpants haven't since long been packed away in anticipation of autumn.
Oj, vad mycket du tog. Orkar du allt det där? Aha. Du kan lägga det, ser du där uppe där det är halm? Du kan lägga det på halmen. Ja, men titta där uppe. Där vattnet.
It's not without a certain nostalgia that I now enter a new phase of the year. Winter may be heavy and monotonous, dark and long, but it always manages to change me, often for the better. Sometimes it's not always easy to appreciate the light in our lives if we haven't also seen and lived through the darkness. If there's one thing that winter always seems to leave me with, it's a deep sense of awe and humility in the face of all of life's trials, as if year on year I'm repeatedly convinced that there's always a light at the end of every tunnel. It's clear that in difficult moments, when life feels strained and heavy, the urge is to just want to escape the misery and hardship. But when you choose not to, and stay in the moment, and face the struggle both within and outside oneself, then one day you'll manage to get out on the other side, where the light and warmth and life awaits you. And that day is worth celebrating, and you can feel proud that you accomplished something that many people may not be able to. You took what nature and life threw at you, and did the best you could with every day you were given. In that light, we can welcome all of life's trials, because they help us grow, mature, and ultimately come out on the other side, free, wise, and well kept. Thank you, winter, for this time. I'll most likely see you again soon.